Hare Krishna. I would like to welcome all of you once again for um, this sixth last day of the month of Karthik. Today is the 10th of November, and Karthik Mass ends on the 15th of November. So after today, we have only 5 days remaining. So very, very fortunate that we have been able to, by the mercy of Prabhupada, that we have been able to conduct this and participate in this Karthik meditation series. It's actually a very extraordinary opportunity that we have received to participate in this program. Those of you who have been able to come without break, it is really something extraordinary. Not everyone gets that kind of opportunity, and those who get also don't always get it year after year. So if you just look back, this will be a memorable year if those of you who are able to come. Those who are able to come for some days, many days, but not all, or even some days, certainly that is also a great blessing. We have been studying about these 5 limbs of devotional service, starting with Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavata Shravana, and Mathura Vasa, followed by Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. And last few days we have been discussing Mathura Vas. And today will be the last day of discussion on Mathura Vas. From tomorrow we will look at Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. I don't know if you remember this. We had discussed this specific event last year during Karthik. During last year also we had Karthik meditation. And there was this person by the name Aiden Roche, was 29. And last year he is an adventurous kind of a person, just an adventure loving person, young man. And he would go on trekking, various adventurous activities, outdoor activities. And last year on June 22nd, while he was one of his trips, suddenly he disappeared. People couldn't trace him. 2 days happened, then nobody could trace him. They logged a case, and a lot of local people raised a lot of money, tried to search for him, put together a search party. Several weeks went by, could not be found. And then 3 months later, his remains were discovered, and they had to raise even more funds to use a helicopter to retrieve those remains and pull it down. But we had looked at this person last year, this case, as symptomatic of how we value activities in our life. If you look at our own life, just like Aiden Roche, who willingly took risks, voluntarily took risks, because that gave him thrill. The thrill of taking the risk of life and safety of the limbs, that thrill was giving him a reason to live, something to look forward to, adventure, something that he could talk about. He would come back and then from his adventures, and he would have a story to tell to others. And the society values this very much. And we hear about these kind of exemplary persons, and we romanticize about them. And then we try to inculcate small adventures in our life, interspersed by many other days of lack of adventure. And then we regret, oh, my life is so boring. Look at this person, he's scaling peak after peak and mountain after mountain, and he's going for such wonderful adventure trips. Similarly, people post stories about vacations. They go to the Caribbean, they go on a cruise vacation, or other such exotic vacations, and we go on. Then while on the vacation, it's not just that we go on vacations, but there are photographs posted on Instagram with skydiving or jet skiing, standing behind the ski and walking on the water like that, or going scuba diving, going deep inside the ocean and looking surrounded by coral reefs and fishes, and post that on Instagram reel. And you pay somebody a lot of money to get a rent, perhaps a waterproof camera, and chase behind you and then you take that, right, and post it on Instagram. Next year we should do that. So this kind of a value system that we have created amongst ourselves, and we create these projects for ourselves, not realizing that even a fraction of that effort, if we put in visiting places of pilgrimage, holy dham, where the Lord Himself has appeared, then what is the effect on us, and how wonderful those trips are, and how adventurous those activities are, and we completely are unaware of that, completely oblivious. So during this few days of Karthik Mass, as we are discussing the glories of Dham, Holy Dham, Mathura, Vrindavan Dham, the hope is that there is a slight change, a realization within on what we should value, what kind of an experience is worth hoping for, what kind of an adventure is worth chasing after. So let us go deeper. I would like you to repeat after me. This is text 9 from Nectar of Instructions. It's a long word, so I'll say 3 words at a time, two words at a time, and then we'll say the whole sentence. It's actually a very, very, very instructive verse. Entire Nectar of Instruction. How many of you have seen the book, Nectar of Instructions? You've seen Nectar of Instructions? And so those who have not seen the book, I think it should be there downstairs. Please try to get a copy. It's a very thin book, very small book. And it is a lifeline for a devotee. Anyone who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, a very, very foundational, fundamental book that gives very practical instructions on how a devotee can lead their life. Okay. Vaikunta Janitovara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Vaikunta Janito Vara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Vaikunta Janito Vara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Vrindaranyam Udarapani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhanaha. Vrindaranyam Udarapani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhanaha. Vrindaranyam Udarapani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhanaha. Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokulapate Premamrita Aplavanat. Premamrita Plavanat. Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokulapate Premamrita Plavanat. Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokulapate Premamrita Plavanat. Kuryad Asya Virajato Giritate Sevam Viveki Nakaha. Kuryadasya Virajato Giritate Sevam Viveki Nakaha. Kuryadasya Virajato Giritate Sevam Viveki Nakaha. वैकुण्ठा जनितो वरा मधुपुरी तत्रापि रसोत्सवाद् वृन्दारण्यम् उदारपाणिरमणा तत्रापि गोवर्धनः राधाकुण्डम् इहापि गोकुलपते प्रेमामृताप्लावनात् कुर्यादस्य विराजतो गिरितटे सेवां विवेकी न कः To understand this verse, I would like to um, talk about the place that we are in right now. That is, right now meaning this material world. Say town of Shrewsbury or state of Massachusetts, America, Earth, whatever, our life, material life that we are in. We all know from Bhagavad Gita that this world is not a place where you can realistically hope for any kind of lasting happiness. All the happiness that we have the potential to experience here, we know ahead of time that this place, those happiness, they don't last. Any kind of pleasure that we can hope to experience, pleasure can be considered as two kinds of pleasure. Um, Pleasure that is being experienced now and the pleasure that is not being experienced now, but you're still thinking about it. That is the event that is triggering the pleasure is either yet to occur or has already occurred. So either you're reliving a pleasure that occurred in the past, or you're anticipating pleasure that is about to happen in future. These are the two kinds of pleasure that are not happening now. So on one side you have the pleasures that are not happening now, but you're thinking about it. On the other hand, you have pleasure that you're currently experiencing. Maybe there is a very nice prasadam that you're having, or very nice music that you're hearing, or some very beautiful scenery, nice natural wonder that you're looking at, or some very wonderful smell, nice aroma, nice treatment, aroma treatment that you're experiencing. So all these kind of pleasures that you're experiencing now. On the other hand, contrast with pleasures that you're not experiencing now, but you're thinking about. Oh, yesterday we went there, it was so nice. Or next week, something is going to happen. So nice, we are going to look forward to that. Thinking about it all the time, with anticipation. So now let us look at the pleasure that you are, so the pleasure that is not being experienced now is completely imaginary. It's not even happened. Or even if it has happened in the past, there is no actual pleasure right now. You're simply thinking about it. But the pleasure that is happening now is of two types. One is pleasure of gross senses. The pleasure of sight, the pleasure of hearing, the pleasure of smelling, the pleasure of taste. Gross senses, the pleasure of touch. Nice, velvet, smooth touch. So, one is the pleasure of gross senses. The other is a pleasure of subtle senses. Subtle senses include, what are the subtle senses? Mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the three subtle pleasures that you can have. People say that, oh, I've been working in this company for 10 years. I don't no longer get job satisfaction. I think I should put my resume out there and see what else is there. So what is that job satisfaction? It is a subtle pleasure, absence of subtle pleasure. What kind of pleasures can contribute to subtle pleasure? Pleasure of the mind, which is primarily pleasure in relationships, which can be short-term, long-term, relationship with family members, which we value very much, relationship with friends, value very much, relationships of co-workers, which we value but not as much, it can change, relationship with neighbors, with people who are accidentally in the same place as you, short-term, you go to a bus stop or a railway station, there are some people there. Somebody says, oh, you can take the seat. Immediately a small relationship is formed because that person is offering you the seat. Or in a crowded railway station, Or in a crowded train, there is a pole which you can hold on to as the train is about to depart. And then there are like 10 hands in that pole. There's no place even to put your hand. Somebody looks at you struggling, and then they take out their hand. They put their hand somewhere else, so you can put your hand there. For a moment, there's a relationship with that person, and you're thankful to that person. You get off from the train, that relationship is over. If you think about the kind of pleasure that we derive, the pleasure derived from these relationships is far superior to the pleasure derived from senses. For example, you are having a piece of rasagulla. You go to a shop, you order rasagulla. Rasagulla is given to you. Open, take nicely. Nice. Very nice. Wonderful rasagulla. Now, compare this to another experience. You take your friend along with you, a group of friends. Everybody stands there looking at the menu. It takes, first of all, 15 minutes to decide which place to go. Then you somehow agree on one place. Then you all look at the board, say, rasagulla, gulab jamun, this, that. Oh, I have this allergy, that allergy, I don't want this. So in that discussion, another 10-15 minutes goes. Then finally, the product arrives. And then before you know it, the rasagulla is over. You're busy talking to your friends, you didn't even notice rasagulla. But this day, you'll remember. You'll remember later on, and next day you meet them, you'll say, oh, yesterday was so much fun, we should do this again. It's the same rasagulla, but somehow it is more fun with friends. Likewise, with family members, someday maybe your parents, when you're younger, might have ordered some food from the restaurant. Maybe the parents didn't have time to cook, ordered something. And then you're eating that food. The same food you go and eat alone in the restaurant, it may not be so much fun. But eat with your family members, with friends, it's more enjoyable. So if you analyze this further, you'll find that relationship pleasure is more enjoyable than sense pleasure. But even these relationships, they don't last. After some time, husband and wife, one of them has to pass away. One of them will pass away first. So the relationship has to end. Relationship between parent and child. One day one of them has to pass away. The relationship has to end. Friends, you all know when you were younger, you had so many friends. Where are they now? Hardly in touch. Relationships end. Relationships in this world do not last very long, although they can last longer than gross sense pleasure. But subtle sense pleasure, although it is more pleasurable, it doesn't last very long. When the relationship is over, you're thinking about that, it only gives you pain. You miss the relationship. So you're actually experiencing pain. Actually, any kind of pleasure that you experience in this world, it only leads to pain. But there is a place where there is no such pain, where there are no miseries. And that place is called Vaikuntha. So imagine the position of Vaikuntha. No pain, no misery. All pleasure is lasting eternally. But this verse says, there is one place that is superior even to Vaikuntha. Superior even to Vaikuntha. What kind of place is that? Vaikuntha Janitovara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Madhupuri or Mathura. Another name for Mathura is Madhupuri. Mathura is superior even to Vaikuntha Loka. And there is something even superior to Mathura. What is that? Vrindaranyam Udarapani Ramana Tatrapi Govardhanaha. Vrindaranyam, the forest known as Vrindavana, is even superior to Mathura. But there is something even more superior to Vrindavan. What is that? Udarapani Ramana Tatrapi. More than that, Tatrapi Govardhanaha. Govardhan hill, where Krishna used to graze the cows, and the Govardhan hill that he lifted with his left hand, is considered even more superior to Vrindavan, the forest of Vrindavan. Now, is there something even more superior to Govardhan? We have already gone past from material world, you have gone to Vaikuntha. More superior to Vaikuntha is Madhupuri. Madhupuri is same as Mathura. Madhupuri is same as Mathura. What is superior to Mathura? Vrindavan. What is superior to Vrindavan? Govardhan. Surely we would have reached the end of our line. No. Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokula Pathe Premamrita Plavanat. Radha Kund is considered even more superior to Govardhan. So now, who will the right mind will not want to go to this Govardhan? Who in the right mind will not want to go to Radha Kund? That is this verse. Now let us look at this translation. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavana because of Krishna's Rasalila pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radhakund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radhakund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? The purport to this is so wonderful. I'll just read a few lines from the purport. The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathura. So what happens in Vaikuntha? In Vaikuntha, you have the 400 Narayana form, who is the expansion of Krishna. But in Mathura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original Bhagwan, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, that Parameshwara Krishna, he personally appears in Mathura. And he personally does not appear even in any of the Vaikuntha lokas. But in Mathura, he has personally appeared. The interior forests of Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, Dwadasha Vana, such as Talavana, Madhuvana, and Bahulavana, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is considered superior to Mathura, but superior to these forests is the divine Govardhan Hill, because Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Vraja, from the torrential rains sent by the angry Indra, king of the demigods. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends to his cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Radha Kund at the foot of Govardhan is superior to all because it is there that the love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radha Kund because this place is a site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani. So in the next verse of Nectar of Instruction, there is this one paragraph which I would like to read, and then I'll quote the next verse as well. In this way, Srila Rupa Goswami generally concludes that Srimati Radharani, the most exalted devotee of Krishna, and that her Kund, lake, Sri Radha Kund, is a most exalted place. This is verified in a quotation from Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Uttarakhand 45, as quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yatha Radha Priya Vishnos Tasya Kundam Priyam Tatha Sarva Gopishu Saivaika Vishnor Atyanta Vallabha. So this is the glories of Radha Kund now, we are reading. Just as Srimati Radharani is dear to the Supreme Lord Krishna, Vishnu, so her bathing place, Radha Kund, is equally dear to Krishna. Among all the gopis, she alone stands supreme as Lord's most beloved. Therefore, everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should ultimately take shelter of Radha Kund and execute devotional service there throughout one's life. This is the conclusion of Rupa Goswami in the 10th verse of Upadeshamrita. So the previous verse we saw was 9th verse. This is the 10th verse. So again, the two verses in row in Nectar of Instruction is talking about Vrindavan and Radha Kund in particular. Now, let us look at the next verse. I'm skipping the Sanskrit verse and going straight to the translation in the interest of time. Of the many objects of the favored delight and of all the lovable damsels of Vrajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kund is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radha Kund is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So these verses in Nectar of Instruction are giving us great inspiration uh, to make it a priority in our life to visit the holy places connected with the Lord's pastimes, particularly Mathura, Vrindavan, Govardhan Hill, Radha Kund. These are must visit places for devotees. We have seen it is not easy living in the US, making a trip to India, very difficult, not easy. But when we do make the trip, often there are a lot of other priorities that come up. And these places must be visited in the association of devotees. So one must think about how can we plan a trip to these holy places together. And we have tried that for a few years actually. It's not easy because everybody goes to India. Many people go to India every year. But everyone has their own constraints, and the first thing they'll go there, visit their parents, visit their in-laws, visit their friends, visit this, that. And of course, when possible, they also visit Mathura, Vrindavan Dham, no doubt. But coordinating the trip among devotees is proving very, very difficult. And so I would just leave you with this grain of thought, a seed of thought of how to coordinate the visit of devotees so that we can go in the association of devotees from here. But continuing, I want to read just these two paragraphs from the purport. Why is Radha Kund so exalted? Prabhupada is explaining. The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is most beloved. Similarly, her lake, Sri Radha Kund, is also described by great sages as a lake that is as dear to Krishna as Radha herself. Indeed, Krishna's love for Radha Kund and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. So see the position of Radha Kund. Krishna is looking at Radha Kund, same level as Radharani. So this Radha Kund, which is tangible, you can actually go there, you can sprinkle that water on your head. That Radha Kund is same as Radharani as far as Krishna is concerned. Radha Kund is very rarely attained, even by great personalities fully engaged in devotional service, not to speak of ordinary devotees who are only engaged in practice of Vaidhi Bhakti. So, actually, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Vrindavan, he made an effort to find where was the original Radha Kund. Today, if you go to Vrindavan, it's very easy to find. You get into an auto, Radha Kund, he'll take you there. Finished. Matter is over. And there's a large body of lake, and there is a changing room next to it. You go there, you can, if the situation is favorable, you can take a dip, and then you can change your clothes. There's a place where you can change your clothes, and there is association of devotees, and all of that is available. But before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, actually that place had been lost. Forget pilgrims from other places, even the local persons had lost track of that place. Not easy to find, nobody knew about that. So, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was looking for that, for some time he didn't find it, but then he found a small pond, a small body of water on the foothills of Govardhan. And he said, this is Radha Kund. And then he had instructed his disciples, the Goswamis, to excavate the places of pilgrimage connected with the pastimes of Lord Krishna while he was personally present here. And Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and all the Goswami disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu excavated those places, constructed grand temples, so that today we are able to take advantage, we are able to go there. But of course, we have to prioritize it. So now, let me switch tracks a little bit. There is this verse in before these three verses that we just read. There is one more verse in Nectar of Instruction that gives us a formula of how to approach a holy place. We have talked about Mathura Vas, the importance of Mathura, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Radhakund. But if you want to spend time in that place, in what mood one should do? And which is, once you read this, once you understand this verse, you'll see why it is so important to visit these places in the association of devotees. It is absolutely not recommended that simply one goes with family. Absolutely not recommended. We should not be simply going to such places with the family as a family visit. It should be we should make a trip to Vrindavan only in the association of devotees. That's the only way to visit. That's the most effective way to visit. But in the interest of time, I will not ask you to repeat after me, but it's a wonderful verse. I'll just read this. Please try to hear. Tanna marupa charitadi sukirtananu smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya tishtan vraje tadanuragi jananugami kalam naye dakhilamiti upadesha saram tannama rupa charitadi sukirtananu. So here the activities that one must perform are described, and then it is being described that in that mood, when you are performing these activities, in that mood, Tishtan Vraje, one must be situated in the holy dham, in Vrajadham. Vrajadham is Mathura Vrindavan Dham, Vrajamandal. So what are these activities? Tan Nama Rupa Charita. Nama is a holy name. Should always be chanting the holy name. So when you go to Vrindavan, you will hear often everyone, if you're getting in the way of somebody who's riding a cycle rickshaw, he will not say, please move, or Baju, hat jao. He will not say any of that. He'll say, Radhe Radhe. That's what they will say. Radhe Radhe. Tanama, Rupa, form. Always meditate on the form of Krishna. If you are in Vrindavan, we should not be simply living in the ashram or hotel room or wherever, right? One must be constantly, morning to evening, as long as the temples are open, constantly going and taking darshan, attending aratis. Charita adi, pastimes connected with Krishna. Glories, Sukirtananu, Smrityoho, Kramena, constantly hearing, remembering, Rasana Manasi Niyojya. So the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Now, going forward, there is this one verse in Bhagavad Gita which is giving further direction on, or rather complementing this verse in Nectar of Instruction, on how one should reside in Vraja. And this verse says, Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginah. So this Vrindavan or Vrajabhumi is non-different from Krishna. Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's dham, the place where he appears, is all non-different from Krishna. So if you want to obtain the opportunity to visit Vrindavan, that means you're actually wanting the opportunity to get Krishna. You want Krishna. Oh, but if you want Krishna, then how it can become easy? Already it is very, very difficult to get Krishna. But how it can become easy? That is there in Bhagavad Gita. Ananya cheta satatam. Without any other engagement, single-pointedly, if you are constantly in remembrance, if you are constantly in conscious of Krishna, yo mam smarati nityasaha, always remembering me, tasyaham sulabha partha. For such a person, I become easy to obtain because of his constant engagement in me. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. And in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada comments, the special qualification of the pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without deviation and without considering time or place. There should be no impediments. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. Some say that the devotee should remain in holy places like Vrindavan or some holy town where the Lord lived. But a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavan by his devotional service. You see, if you go to Vrindavan today, you will find many persons who come there for tourism. And especially now, in the recent times, I would say last 3 to 4 years, it has become a Vrindavan has come on the tourism map of India. There is something called religious tourism that has been floated by the government. I don't know if you're all aware. But that has had the effect that people come there for tourism, not as a dham yatra. Dham yatra or pilgrimage is different from tourism. Because the purpose, if you're trying to touch Krishna, if you're trying to reach Krishna, one must be ananya cheta satatam, must be in undeviated attention, remembrance of Krishna. In that mood, we can go to the dham. Then you will experience Vrindavan. But otherwise, if you go as a tourist to Vrindavan, a lot of persons try this. They have not aware of these teachings, unaware of this. They would have a 2-week trip in India sometimes or a month trip, and then they would somehow accidentally land up in New Delhi. And then they would call up somebody that they know. Like sometimes I get these calls from some of my friends, associates. They say that I'm landing in Delhi at 7 a.m. and I have a flight at 9 p.m. and I was thinking I can go visit, make a quick trip to Vrindavan. Can you give me some suggestion how to go? Of course, if somebody is able to go to Vrindavan and even in that period of time, but they have the right mood, it will be of eternal benefit to them. But often that is not the mood in which they are going, and because of the lack of devotee association, this knowledge is not known to people. So the Vrindavan atmosphere is extremely important, whether we are visiting Vrindavan or we are at home or we are at work or we are at the temple. Vrindavan atmosphere can be lived. And that Vrindavan atmosphere is invoked how? It is by the presence of pure devotee. Where the pure devotee is present, that becomes Vrindavan. There is a pastime in this connection which is cited here by Prabhupada. It was Sri Advaita who told Lord Chaitanya, wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavan. So, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord himself. So naturally, wherever he is, it is Vrindavan. That there is no doubt. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was playing the role of a pure devotee. And in the previous day, you saw the pastime of yesterday, you saw the pastime of Akrura, or the day before that, where he had this Vrindavan consciousness with him. He approached Vrindavan in the right mood. And prior to that, you saw this the principle of how tirti kurvanti tirthani. That is, when pure devotees visit a place of pilgrimage, they in fact have a purifying effect on the place of pilgrimage. The place of pilgrimage, like Mathura and Vrindavan, they are pure, of course, because Krishna has descended. But subsequently, because of the presence of so many unwanted, unscrupulous elements who are coming there as tourists, the place it gets polluted. So what happens when a pure devotee goes there, they actually purify the place. And the specific example given there is about rivers. When the holy rivers, Ganges, Yamuna, when people take a dip on that and all their sinful activities, they are all washed away. All that sinful reaction, they are all present in the water. But when a pure devotee takes dip in that water, that entire river gets purified. That's the power of pure devotee. So we already saw this. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is playing the role of a pure devotee, although of course he is Lord himself. So there is this pastime where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to visit, soon after taking sannyas diksha, he wants to visit Vrindavan. And he wishes to reside on the banks of Radha Kund, and he wants to be there permanently. This is his desire. Of course, later on it transpires that he is not allowed to do that by his confidential associates. They somehow convince him to stay in Jagannath Puri. But he does visit Vrindavan. But before he visits Vrindavan, there is a pastime which happens where he sets out from his house to go to Vrindavan. And there are his associates. He's surrounded by Nityananda Prabhu and many other associates. And they are going through the fields and he's chanting in ecstasy. He's so eager to go to Vrindavan. He is lost in the ecstasy of reaching Vrindavan. And he is going, and when he's going, there are the cowherd boys in the fields, agricultural fields. They're all looking at him, and they're seeing him. They also become extracted. Hari, 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 Hari. They all start chanting Hari, Hari. So he becomes very happy seeing them chant Hari, Hari. So his ecstasy increases even more. So as he's going like this, Nityananda Prabhu plays one trick on him. He goes to the cowherd boys and he says, if he asks you where is Vrindavan, where is Yamuna, point him to the direction of Ganges, point him like this. And they all simple people, they agree. So they point Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the direction of Ganges. And he goes away from Vrindavan, he goes to a different place. And he reaches river Ganges, he doesn't know it, he thinks, where have I come? Then Nityananda Prabhu says, see, here is Yamuna. We have reached Vrindavan. This is Yamuna. Immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes a dip in Ganges, thinking that it is Yamuna. But actually it is Ganges. He doesn't know that. And at that point, Advaitacharya, who has already been notified about this, his house is nearby. Advaitacharya comes there with a boat. And he comes there with a change of garments, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has just taken sannyas. He has no clothes except for what he is wearing. No extra clothes, no change of clothes, nothing. So Advaitacharya comes there with extra clothes. And seeing him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is confused. How come you are here? So Advaitacharya says, this is Ganges, this is where I live. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nityananda Prabhu has cheated me. I thought I was coming to Vrindavan and he has taken me here. Then Advaitacharya says to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, O Lord, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. So this is a wonderful pastime of how a pure devotee, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord himself, but he's playing the role of a pure devotee. Where there is pure devotee, there is Vrindavan. Pure devotee is here, this is Vrindavan. So we'll stop here and go to the next program, Damodarashtakam.